Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of humanity's most timeless spiritual texts, but we're not going to treat it like some ancient relic. Instead, we're going to look at it as what it really is, a practical user's guide for the toughest choices we face, well, every single day.
So picture this. It's July 1945. J. Robert Oppenheimer, the creator of the atomic bomb, has just witnessed its terrifying, world-shattering power for the first time. And in that moment, this one chilling line of scripture comes to his mind. It's a quote that has haunted history ever since, a symbol of ultimate power.
But where on earth did that line come from, right? What ancient wisdom was running through the mind of a modern physicist at the very dawn of the nuclear age? Well, the answer takes us back thousands of years to a battlefield. Turns out, Oppenheimer was quoting the Bhagavad Gita. And here's the kicker. This incredible text isn't born in some moment of peaceful meditation. No, it all happens in a moment of profound, paralyzing crisis, with an entire conversation unfolding on the very brink of a catastrophic war. I mean, really try to picture the scene. You've got two massive armies lined up against each other on this sacred field called Kurukshetra. We're talking about the greatest fighters of the era, all ready to go to war for the future of their kingdom. The scale is just immense. And leading one of those armies, that's our guy, Arjuna. And Arjuna is, well, he's the best of the best, the perfect warrior. He's the greatest archer in the world. He's undefeated when fighting for a just cause. This is literally what he was born and trained to do. So he asks his charioteer, who just happens to be the divine Lord Krishna in disguise, to drive him into the middle of the battlefield. He wants a good look at the enemy. But when he looks, he doesn't see monsters or strangers. He sees his own cousins, his beloved teachers, his grandfathers, the very people who raised him. And in that single moment, everything inside him just shatters. All his training, his sense of duty, his entire identity as a warrior, it all just evaporates. This undefeated champion is completely overwhelmed, and he just breaks down. He literally drops his bow and arrows and says, "I will not fight." He's basically saying he would rather die himself than be responsible for killing the people he loves. And it's this total crisis, this complete spiritual collapse, that sets the stage for everything the Gita has to teach. Now here is where the Gita does something absolutely brilliant. It takes Arjuna's very specific crisis and turns it into this universal metaphor, a mirror for the battles that we all fight, not on some dusty field of war, but inside our own minds. You see, that battlefield, Kurukshetra, literally means the field of action. And the Gita's teaching is that our entire life is a field of action. Every single choice, every dilemma, every single moment is our own personal Kurukshetra. The great philosopher Shri Aurobindo just nailed it when he said, all life is Kurukshetra. Our life becomes a path of real growth when we start to see it that way, when we approach this battlefield consciously. Which, it makes you ask the question, what does that battlefield look like for us today? I mean, your Kurukshetra probably doesn't involve bows and arrows. It's that agonizing choice between the safe career and the one you're actually passionate about. It's trying to balance your duty to your family with your own fundamental need for self-care. It's that moment you have to decide between what is right and what is just so much easier. And the Gita has this beautiful name for the state of crisis, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which you can translate as the yoga of dejection or despair. And this shows us a core teaching. Real, profound transformation doesn't happen when we're comfortable. It only starts when our old foundations crumble, when all our experience offers no clear path, and we can finally, honestly say, I have no idea what to do. That's the starting line. So you see, the Gita isn't just an old story about a warrior's despair. It's a manual. It's a guide for how to act with awareness when we find ourselves totally lost on our own inner battlefield. And its whole instruction revolves around one key idea. And that key is the word yoga. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Stretching, right? Poses in a studio. But in the Gita, the meaning is so much deeper. It comes from the Sanskrit root yuja, which means to join or to unite. The entire practice is about uniting our conflicted, confused, ego-driven self with our highest, wisest, most authentic consciousness. And to help us wrap our heads around this, the Gita presents its main characters in a really cool way. They're not just people in a story, they're actually 4 archetypes, 4 states of consciousness that exist inside every single one of us. So think of these as the cast of characters inside your own mind. First, you've got Dhritarashtra, the blind king. That's our waking ego, right? Often blind to the truth, totally driven by its own desires. Then there's Sanjaya, the visionary. That's our inner voice that knows the truth, but feels powerless to do anything about it. Then you've got Arjuna, the seeker. That's the part of us that's in crisis, the part that's finally vulnerable enough to listen. And finally, there's Krishna, the divine guide, our own highest self, the source of deep wisdom that we can all tap into. So when Arjuna hits rock bottom, he asks Krishna the most human question there is: what should I do? But Krishna doesn't just give him a simple answer. Nope. Instead, he completely reframes the entire problem. And this, right here, is the Gita's huge, radical shift in perspective. Our ego is always obsessed with the what. What is the right action? What should I do? But the Gita pushes us to ask a much deeper, much more powerful question. From what level of consciousness am I acting? Is this choice coming from my blind ego, my powerless observer, or am I connected to my highest self? And what this means is that the Gita's goal isn't to give you a rulebook for life. Not at all. It's about transforming your awareness. It's a framework designed to elevate your consciousness so that you can figure out the right action for yourself from a place of clarity and inner connection, not from a place of confusion and despair. Which brings this whole ancient teaching right back to you, here and now. The Gita starts with one person's crisis to help us navigate our own. So the question it leaves us with is a really personal one. What is your inner battlefield today? What choices are you facing where the old answers just aren't good enough anymore?